Mercedes' insane new upcoming upgrade for W14. So we're gonna be going through that and 5 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is aggressive Mercedes to reveal whole bunch of new W14 upgrades. Mercedes technical director James Allison has confirmed the team will continue their upgrade push this weekend in Barcelona as part of a whole bunch more things that will be added to the W14 in the coming races. The team placed on their first significant upgrade package of the season in Monaco, having been delayed a week following the cancellation of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, with team principal and CEO Toto Wolff having ordered wholesale changes to the car's design philosophy after starting the season behind the pace-setting Red Bull. Mercedes count themselves among the chasing pack, also containing Aston Martin and Ferrari for the best of the rest tag as it stands, but that does not satisfy the 8-time Constructors' champions in how they go about their racing, with the first significant step in changing their car coming last time out with the abandoning of the zero-pod side-pod inlet concept with which they began the 2022 season, along with introducing new front suspension. Wolff explained that the Spanish Grand Prix will double up as a data-gathering exercise for the team, as the uniqueness of Monaco does not lend itself into being a useful testing venue, but the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, a long-time test circuit for the sport, very much fits the bill. With that, though, Allison confirmed Mercedes would not just rest on what they brought with them to Monte Carlo last time out, and would continue their development push with another small upgrade in Barcelona, with plenty more to come in the following races too. Well, we certainly will settle back and look at what the Monaco upgrade package has brought us at a more normal track, but we will also push on in parallel with a whole bunch more things, Allison said in Mercedes' post-Monaco debrief. So, there will be a little bit we're bringing to Barcelona and many more things in the races that follow. We can't afford just to do everything sequentially. Although there's a sort of academic purity to that, it's just too slow a way of going ahead, so the upgrades will keep coming. Hopefully a decent package to build upon what we put on the track in Monaco, and then we just step forward from here up to the summer break and beyond. With the tight, twisting streets of Monaco not acting as good testing territory for the newly upgraded W14, Allison spoke of how driver feedback played into the team's initial reaction to how the new parts went down. Lewis Hamilton in particular spoke positively about how his new, improved chassis handled, while Wolff acknowledged the rear of the car in particular was still nasty for the drivers to wrestle around the track. But now that Formula One heads back to a more conventional circuit in Barcelona, there will be time for the team to run the numbers in a way they are used to doing, but there were no alarm bells to take away from Monaco nonetheless. I would say it's too early to say what their impact will be on the rest of the season because Monaco is such a terribly difficult place to make these sorts of judgments at, Allison explained. We didn't set the world on fire in qualifying. The car had reasonably tidy race pace, and we'll wait and find out at the next race to see where we truly stand in a more normal track. But the drivers seemed to give reasonable feedback about the car, felt good under braking. Car felt okay, and the data that we took off the car on the aerodynamic sensors were not giving us any alarm bells. They were sort of suggesting that things were in line with expectation. The second story is Mercedes' new F1 2023 upgrades analyzed by Ted Kravitz and Anthony Davidson at Monaco Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have been unable to challenge at the front of the F1 field since the start of 2022. Hamilton's last Formula One victory came in December 2021 at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in Jeddah. Sky Sports F1's Anthony Davidson and Ted Kravitz analyzed the long-awaited upgrades Mercedes debuted in Monaco ahead of crucial running for the W14 at this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix. Mercedes have been on the back foot since the start of last year and have just one win in the last 29 Formula One races. The team have been very honest about not being where they want to be after plenty of hype and expectation over the winter ahead of this season. They sit third in the Constructors' Championship, just 1 point behind Aston Martin. But it's the gap to Red Bull which has been their big concern. At 130 points adrift of the Milton Keynes base team and being well off the pace at most events this year, Lewis Hamilton hopes the raft of upgrades they brought to Monaco, including a new floor, front suspension, and side pods, mark the start of Mercedes going back in the right trajectory. It's not the place to ultimately test an upgrade, but the car was generally feeling good, Hamilton said after driving with the new parts for the first time. A bit of a shame we weren't as close as I'd have hoped, but definitely felt the improvements, and we've just got to keep chipping away at it and see if we can squeeze any more juice out of the car. There is, and it's very clear where the lack of performance is for me, and so we'll talk about that in the debrief. Put our heads together and try and figure out how we can do that within what we have, and hopefully this gives us a platform to build on moving forwards. The third story is Mercedes F1 suspension upgrades rich seam of development. The Mercedes Formula One team is expected to place an emphasis on upgrading its suspension for 2024, having realized there's a rich seam of development. According to Andrew Shovlin, drivers Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have complained about lacking confidence in the rear axle of the W14. This is partly due to the cockpit being placed further forwards relative to previous years, but any resolution will have to wait for an all-new chassis to be constructed for next season. By way of a more immediate fix for the nervous handling, as part of its major upgrade package that bore more conventional side pods, Mercedes fitted an updated front suspension setup for the Monaco Grand Prix last month. The repositioned wishbone was primarily designed to work with the new side pod concept by improving airflow and cooling, but the greater capacity to adjust geometries also improves stability. Mercedes engineering director Shovlin said, "It is a case of trying to play with those geometries to get an influence on the aero platform to try and get a bit more stability in the car. It's probably given us more freedom because the issue that we always had prior to that was getting good front end when you needed it at the apex, and good entry stability when you're hard on the brakes and turning in. That compromise was always something that we couldn't resolve. You're always left with either a weak rear on entry or a poor front at apex. So, hopefully, that's moved us in the right direction." However, since these tweaks have arrived mid-season to be fitted the original concept and come during an era of the cost cap that limits development, they will always carry an element of compromise. As such, Shovlin expects bespoke suspension, particularly around the rear of the car, to be a major point of focus for the 2024 Mercedes when the budget cap and aerodynamic testing restrictions reset. He explained, "Fundamentally, we've done a new suspension this year. Suspensions are expensive things to bring to the car. So, the reality is with the cost cap, we're always looking at the championship situation. We don't know how much we will do. I wouldn't expect that we're going to be making massive strides. What we have realized is there's actually quite a rich seam of development here that we can start to look at. So those programs are working. But the challenge is always how you get your aerodynamics and your vehicle dynamics to work together and optimize. Every team's up to that kind of process, but it's looking at where are the opportunities and how can you bring the two together so they work as one package." The fourth story is Mercedes concerned amid F1 upgrade rush. Mercedes once again found themselves as not a front-running team, being behind Red Bull, Aston Martin, and Ferrari for most of the season in the performance charts. The race in Barcelona saw the Silver Arrows take a leap in performance. The team had more pace than Aston Martin and Ferrari, leading to a double podium finish with Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. The Brackley-based team brought significant upgrades to Barcelona, including new side pods, front suspension, and floor. All teams are trying what they can to stop Red Bull from dominating. The Austrian team has won every race this season in dominant fashion. Important to understand upgrades. Wolff believes it is crucial for Mercedes designers to fully understand the new upgrades that were brought to Barcelona. The Mercedes boss thinks that they need to understand why the upgrades were efficient before making further development changes. The Austrian admits that the rate of upgrades being produced left many unknowns that needs finding out. The speed of the upgrades left the Brackley team not being able to thoroughly analyze the changes. While speaking to motorsport.com, Wolff emphasized the importance of delivering quick upgrades and also understanding how it improved the car. "We just need to continue to grind away because it's not so much about how quick it is, it's about how good our understanding is. We've been rushing things over the last 2 months, and that worried us because it was a little bit circumventing the process. But so far it has paid off." Wolff also orders for no complacency, using the Spanish Grand Prix as an indication of them getting closer to Red Bull at the front. Last year, Mercedes had a good race in Barcelona and then fell back to reality in the next races. The fifth story is Wolff opens up on Schumacher's make-or-break Mercedes debut. Toto Wolff has played up Mick Schumacher's performance in his first experience driving the Mercedes W14, saying that the former Haas man settled in well in the test. Schumacher has been testing in the simulator for the team, but finally got to step into the car in Catalonia and completed more than 150 laps in the Pirelli tire test. Wolff, speaking ahead of the Canadian Grand Prix, also praised the work done by the team's designers and engineers in bringing a big upgrade package to Barcelona for the last race, calling Lewis Hamilton and George Russell's podium finishes a well-deserved reward for their efforts. Wolff, Spain gives us a new baseline to build from. The result in Spain was a well-deserved reward for everyone's efforts at Brackley and Brixworth to bring our update package to the track, he said. "We were pleased with how it performed, and it will provide a new baseline for us to build from." but we must also manage our expectations. It was a circuit that suited our car, and we should expect our direct competitors to be stronger in the next races. The gap to Red Bull is large, and it will take lots of hard work to close that down. Nevertheless, we're up for the challenge. Following the Grand Prix in Spain, Mick got his first opportunity to drive the W14. He settled in well during the Pirelli tire test and enjoyed the experience. Mick has become a valuable member of the team already, and his work in the simulator has proved useful in finding lap time, as we saw in Barcelona. So thanks for watching, and what's your thoughts on these stories? Let us know in the comment section below.